Well, Joe Calzaghe is with us for another kind of 12, 13 minutes or so, so we've got to get some of these questions to you. Bruce says, ask Joe if he's ever had a holiday without being accosted for an autograph. Sorry, Joe, he says. Zacchio's in Barbados?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I remember that one.
Oh, do you get pestered all the time still?
Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, well, I suppose over the last 4 or 5 years, obviously, the early days, not so much, but I suppose it's nice, you know, I get a lot of fans and people appreciate it, you know, what I achieved in the ring, and it's very nice, of course it is.
See, I have a theory, sorry, I have a theory, Joe, about one of the reasons that you were able to sustain what you did for so long, you know, 21 defences, 11 years, was that for a lot of time you didn't court the limelight. And therefore you were allowed to concentrate only on what you did best, which was the boxing. If you'd become the celebrity that you are now, post Strictly Come Dancing and all the other stuff, you might have found too much of that an intrusion into what you were trying to do.
Yeah, of course it is. And if you look at my first unification fight was in 2006 against Jeff Lacey. I won the WBO title in October '97. So it was a long time before I had them big fights. So that was always my aim, not just to be a world champion, but be the #1. And that drove me on for years.
And it is an indication, isn't it, that Joe was Sports Personality of the Year in an era when actually boxing isn't on terrestrial TV these days. And I know, Bunsey, you still take responsibility for him winning Sports Personality of the Year, don't you?
Well, I delivered the trophy. Without me taking the trophy on the plane and doing a hard deal with the men up here on the 6th floor, there wouldn't have been a trophy, there wouldn't have been an award. So, of course, I take responsibility for it.
We were sat in 3 or 4 rows of chairs in the MGM Grand Arena the morning, as it was in Las Vegas, after Ricky Hatton was beaten by Floyd Mayweather. Amazing trip all around that one. Yeah.
Right, okay, so here's some of these points. Some of them are points, some of them are questions. Kev Lloyd in Powys says, Joe, he's a living legend, quit at the top, job done. My favourite Calzaghe fight, says James in Cornwall. Jeff Lacey, I was so nervous before the fight, but what a masterclass, absolutely incredible. Me and my mates were going mad. Thanks, Joe, great memories. And Jez in Liverpool says, Oscar was my favourite boxer until the best display of the fistic arts I've ever seen when Joe fought Jeff Lacey, very nearly perfect. Was that your greatest fight, do you think?
I think so. I think when you look at it, the circumstances into that fight, I was actually the underdog.
Yep.
I think that's the only time I've ever been the bookie's underdog, and a lot of people expect me to lose that fight because I was injured for the last fight or 2 before that. So to go in it and not just win against a fighter,
every second of every round,
to dominate him was just amazing. It was an amazing night for me, and that's what sort of put me to the next level in my boxing career.
And to show how big Jeff Lacey was, he'd been part of, I think, Showtime's adverts during the Super Bowl, you know, the most expensive ad break, and he'd had his 10 or 12 seconds of fame during an advert. So when some people with a little bit of retrospective history say, oh no, Lacey wasn't big in America, absolute no chance. He wasn't just big, he was being groomed to be a superstar.
Not forgetting that he got 6-pack, Sports Illustrated 6-packs of the year. On his head.
Paul,
I wasn't in the contention that year.
No.
What was interesting was that Lacey did nothing afterwards, and every time he did fight afterwards, he fought like a man with a soul, because Joe robbed him of his fighting soul that night. He didn't realise that there was that kind of level in boxing. He'd never come across it before.
Never been there.
Yeah. Paul has tweeted me to say, Joe, do you wish you were a bit younger and you could have really mixed it with Eubank, Ben and Collins rather than just the epic with Eubank?
You know, at the time, you know, of course, it took me so many years, and I was thinking, I missed the boat. Everybody used to say to me, you should have been around at Nigel Benn and, you know, Steve Collins. But that's the way it is. But look, you know, I had my bigger fights later on in my career against the likes of Jeff Lacey, Kessler, and I want to win against Bernard Hopkins. If you see that Bernard is still fighting and still winning fights against great fighters, that shows what a good win that was, you know. So I can't complain at all.
He'll be trying to call you out, won't he, Hopkins? He'll be driving you mad. If he finds out you're even in half decent shape, he'll make an appearance in London.
He's been calling me out ever since he got beat.
you know, Hopkins floored you there. We heard on the commentary. So did Roy Jones. Who across your career, who hit you hardest?
I think the first time I ever went on the floor was against Byron Mitchell in
you were asleep for a second.
2003. I was asleep for maybe a millisecond.
Yeah, a millisecond. Okay.
But the great thing is, I went down 4 times in my career. I'm so proud that I got back up and won. And it's not about going down; it's how you get back up, how you respond to a knockdown. And thank God I managed to get up and win them fights. But the first knockdown was the worst, definitely. Yeah.
John in Manchester says, Joe's a great fighter. It's one of those things they say, Joe's a great fighter, but He says, we all know that Robin Reid was really unlucky not to get the decision when they fought each other.
Well, obviously, it's this guy from Runcorn. Hey, Robin, I know that's you, mate. Listen, Robin, come on, you lost that fight. Give it up. You lost the fight. I was injured going into it. I had one hand after 3 rounds, and you still couldn't beat me. Give it up. I still like you, though.
A lucky win is a win.
I wasn't lucky. I won the fight. What are you talking about? I watched the fight over. I won the fight.
What was really strange about that one, though, was that one judge gave it to Robin Reid by 4 rounds, and the other 2 gave it to Joe by 4 rounds. An 8-round difference.
There's a lot of rounds.
Really. Can I just say the judge that gave it to Robin Reid? I think that he left his glasses in the change room that night, and he went out after the 4th round.
Phil in Leeds says, would you ever consider becoming a trainer and following in your father's footsteps?
No, I haven't got the patience to train, to be honest. No, I don't think so. I don't think it's something that I would really like to do. No.
What, so your dad is pretty special?
Yeah, I watched how hard he had to struggle with myself and other fighters in the gym. You know, it takes so much energy and so much of your time, and I don't think I've got that much time really to sort of dedicate to boxing. Although I still love the sport, I don't think I'd really be cut out to be a trainer.
Are you going to be around a bit more now, Joe? Fights, coming along to fights and stuff? Because you haven't been. I saw you at the Gavin Rees prize fighter, but I mean, I haven't seen you a lot at ringside in the last few years.
Yeah, I know. I've been trying to keep busy doing other things, but yeah, definitely. Obviously, with some great fights coming up with like James DeGale, and obviously Nathan Cleverly is going to be fighting for world titles. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I'm going to be active, going to the gym, and hopefully help him out. Yeah,
tell us a bit more about the acting career. I was reading that you've been working with Mickey Rourke. Is that right? On the film that he's making about Gareth Thomas.
Well, that's right. Well, he's making the film on Gareth Thomas, and I met Mickey about 10 months ago. Obviously, he's an ex-professional boxer and a big boxing fan, and hooked up with him and just got on well with him, and keep in touch quite regularly. And he says that, you know, I should get a part in there hopefully, so I'll be in there somewhere. So look out.
Are you in Risen, Howard Winston?
No.
Not in that, no.
Okay. I mean, you could help Mickey with his Welsh accent, because presumably he's got to do a Welsh accent, hasn't he, if he's going to play Gareth Thomas?
Yeah. Well, he said he's going to teach me an American accent, and I'm going to teach him a Welsh accent.
And how is your American accent going?
Not too good.
In fact, that was a perfect Mickey Rourke impersonation, if you don't mind me saying so.
You missed out on The Fighter, because that was it. Did you watch that movie?
Yeah, The Fighter was good. I enjoyed The Fighter. Brilliant acting. Yeah, it's a good film.
There's something about boxing movies, though, isn't it? Boxing and movies seem to work uniquely well together. You think of some of the great sports films, and they've been about boxing.
Yeah.
And documentaries, some even better documentaries that have forgotten us. I was watching one the other week, Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali filmed before their fight, and it was staggering. There's some brilliant documentaries out there buried. Better. I'm going to say this now. Better than the movies.
Yeah. Kay, just calling himself Kay. Or possibly herself. I've got a white collar fight coming up in 10 weeks. It's my first fight, and wondered what the best bit of advice Joe could give me is.
Keep your hands up. Keep your hands up.
I thought you were going to say don't do it.
Yeah, keep your guard up and throw punches and try not to get hit. Easier said than done, of course.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've got a couple of questions about it. John says, can you please come out of retirement and join Robbie Savage in the Welsh midfield? We need some strength.
I think I'll be pretty good. I think I'll be pretty easy to do that, judging on the performances of late. So yeah, I think I'll try that one.
Have you got any regrets about your boxing career, Joe? I mean, was there any point where you thought, I wish I could have just, fought this person, or got this payday or anything?
Do you know what? During your career, and obviously you look back and make decisions, there might have been the wrong decisions, both right through my career. But now I finished boxing. I look back at my career. I'm so proud of what I achieved, and to be able to finish boxing on your own terms and come out looking still pretty good and being undefeated, that's just brilliant for me, and I have no regrets. I can't say at all I have regrets.
You know what fascinates me about the career of people like you, Joe, and I noticed when you played in a charity football match last year, Ricky Hatton was on the same side, and it went to a penalty shootout. I can't remember the teams involved, but you and Ricky both scored, and it just reminded me that, because I've always said that penalty shootouts make boxers of footballers, and by that I mean it's you on your own. You've got to hold it together for that moment in time, and Calzaghe and Hatton both scored their penalties, and others missed.
Can I just say that I was at Old Trafford, rest of the world against England, and I was the only non-professional footballer to score an open play, so I scored twice.
Did you?
Yeah. I had to get that one inside.
Ellie,
look on your face when you tell
Ellie, don't get him on the football. Trust me, because Enzo will be phoning in talking about Enzo's days. You lose the show, become a Juventus show.
I'm sorry, mate. I had to get that football bit in. Scored twice.
Listen, we got a couple of quick.
Sorry.
We have kept off Strictly for the last hour mostly. Is it true Joe and Christina are getting married and moving to LA?
Well, that's the first I've heard of that. No.
Anything you can tell us?
No, I'm not getting married. I'm not engaged. She's still my girlfriend. We're still going out together, definitely. But no, not getting married.
Yeah, well, it's lovely. It's a lovely. We love stories like this.
Oh, Ellie, I don't want to talk about love stories. I want to talk about. Let me just say something about when you mentioned that Mike mentioned there about when you're taking a penalty, it's like a fighter because he's calm. Let me tell you something about Joe and about Ricky, both of whom I was in changing rooms or with them 20 minutes or half an hour before they came out in front of 20,000 people or 18,000 people. When you're in that changing room at the MEN or when you're in that changing room at the MGM, you can feel it, Ellie. You're down in that room. You're walking to see them, and all you do is you pop your head in and you go like that, and then you leave. You don't want to intrude, but you want to see them. It's just something curious you want to do. It's part of your ego as a sports journalist. You want to just see them in that minute. And let me tell you something. When you're walking back, your feet are bopping. The noise, the sense of that noise is pounding. It's like in Jurassic Park. And yet you see these two guys, him and Ricky. If you'd have measured them for heartbeat, it would have been like marathon runners from Kenya. Like that. They would have been about 20 beats a minute. And that's what makes them different, Ellie. That's what makes them different sportsmen.
Okay. In the last minute before we go, a couple of other things to look out for. What have we got coming up over the next couple of weeks, Mike?
Well, we've got Amir Khan defending his world light welterweight title against Paul McCloskey. That's a fight we're covering live on 5 Live. That's Saturday, April the 16th. And then we move on to the big show that we've been talking about tonight, the doubleheader, George Groves against James DeGale and Nathan Cleverly against Jürgen Bremer. But Joe, I mean, we've had a great response from people on the text tonight and a couple of messages. Some questions, but just a lot of people who want to say how much they enjoyed watching you fight. Big respect to Joe. He's earned me a lot of money. Legend, says one. Good entertaining show tonight. Good luck to all the guys. That'll be you and James DeGale and Carl Froch, who we heard from earlier on. You're all heroes, says Mike in Cambridge. And Stephen Aberdeen says, good evening, 5 Live. I've watched Joe on TV many times, and every time nobody could drag me away from the TV until the fight was over. Joe Calzaghe is a true legend. Shame he's not still fighting.
Oh, thanks very much for all your lovely messages. It's really great to be on the show tonight, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, it's really been great to have you with us, and thank you for giving us so much time, and hopefully we'll see you again very soon.
Thanks a lot. I hope so.
And thank